All right, welcome back, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and continue talking about terrains and noises, dealing with terrains. Um, this lesson, we're going to go ahead and talk about how we can layer noises and distortion. This allows us to kind of add some big noise and then some detail on top of that noise. Gives us a more natural looking terrain. So to do that, I'm going to start off going up to my terrain tools. Again, I'm in that terrain desktop, and I'm going to go ahead and hit Control. Go ahead and hit my height field to get my grid. If you're zoomed in, remember spacebar G will go ahead and frame that object. I'm going to dive in, and I like what I have here. I'm just going to keep it by default. I'm going to go ahead and have that node selected. I could tab and start typing in noise, and I can lay down a height field noise, or like we did on the last lesson, if I select and come up to the shelf tool and select height field noise, I can do it that way as well. Okay, so if we go ahead and play around with some of these noises, so I'm going to come down first. I'm going to change my noise type to whirly. I'm going to turn this grid off. So we get something like this. Okay, and actually, I'm going to turn the grid on. You can see that the noise pushes it down below the grid, and in our case, the center noise has a lot to do with that. So with whirly, if I turn the center noise off, it pushes this noise up and it sits it on the grid. So it basically keeps that noise between 0 and anything above 0 there. So it never goes below the grid. Okay. So maybe I want to go ahead and make this noise a little bigger. So maybe I like something like that. So maybe I'm happy with that noise. Maybe I can even come down here and increase my roughness a little bit. Not too much, maybe something like that. Okay. Now here's where maybe I want to add some detail. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my node here, and I'm going to go ahead and hit tab and start typing in distortion, and we get right here the height field distort by noise. So if I click that, I bring this down, I'm going to go ahead and hook this in and then go ahead and display it. Okay, so we get you see we get a more kind of detailed result. We get some finer noise within our bigger noise here. So we're just adding this distortion on top of it. And a lot of our parameters on this distort node look like our parameters in our noise node. The only difference is the noise type. We get curl and we get simplex. Okay, so depending on what we want, curl gives it a little more curl noise. So if I start increasing this amplitude a little bit, you can see that if we look from the top, it kind of starts kind of twisting a little bit here. So we get some different noise with simplex. I changed to that. We get more of kind of a grainy noise. And again, if we kind of bring up that amplitude, we'll get some different results. Okay. Again, same thing with element size. If I increase this, we'll get some bigger size. If I decrease it, we'll get a smaller option there. Okay. Offset, same thing. If I go ahead and increase, I can go ahead and kind of get a different look by kind of going through the noise pattern here. So I can kind of see if I want to play with some different results there. And roughness, same thing. If I start adjusting this, it'll roughen it up a little bit. If I bring it down, it'll smooth it out. Okay, so 0.5 is always a good choice, unless you need to roughen that up a little bit. And then the max octaves and substeps, again, if I add more substeps, it'll start to kind of smooth it out. And if I bring it down, we'll get pretty much what we have. So again, I'm going to go ahead and leave it to 1 at the default. Okay. And then I can layer some more distortion on top of it. So again, if I come back and I lay down another distort node here, node, distort by noise, come down, and then plug this in. I'm going to go ahead and add some more noise on top of that. So maybe I want some curl noise here, And I'll bring the amplitude up, and maybe I'll bring the actual element size up. So maybe kind of have some more kind of plateaus and valleys here, depending on how I want this noise to look. Maybe I'll bring the roughness down just a bit, something like that. Okay. So we can get some really interesting looking terrains pretty quickly by just layering up and combining different distortions on top of a noise here. Okay. So we can do that, and really to think to distortion. Distortion kind of pushes noise out in the X and Z directions, where noise kind of pushes out in the Y direction. Okay. All right. So that's layering different distortions. I'm going to play off this height field again, and we're going to look at layering up noises. So if I go ahead and type in noise, and I'm going to lay it in a height field noise. So again, I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to go ahead and pick my whirly noise again. That's a different whirly noise, but that's kind of cool. Maybe I'll stick with that and see what I get. Okay. I can come here again and type in noise and lay down another height field noise and add on top of this. Okay. So we're adding noise. So we're keeping that bigger noise, and then we're adding our sparse convolution on top of it noise, and we're adding it here. We could replace it, so it acts like this top noise never existed. We could add, which we were doing before, subtract, kind of inverts that noise. Difference, we get the difference between the two noises. Multiply, see, we get a kind of a crazy effect here. We'd have to bring this amplitude way down, so it's really touchy, but you can get some interesting effects here. Something like that. Okay, brought this way down though. Maximum, I'm going to set this back to 500. Okay, minimum. So you get some different options depending on what you want to do. I'm going to go back to add here. Okay, center noise, and it can have a different result, and then again the different noise types. So depending on kind of what I want, Perlin's kind of cool. I can do a whirly on top of my other whirly to see some different results. I'll go back to Perlin. I like that. Okay, and then I can play with the roughness, the lacunarity, the octave. So some different options here as well. And I can keep layering on this noise. Okay, so I can come in here and we'll lay down another noise and get a different result here. Okay, depending again on kind of what I want to do, the different noises maybe I want to add. Okay, so I get some really interesting effects by just layering up noises as well. Okay, and I could add distortions on top, so I could get some really cool looking terrains again pretty quickly by just layering up either distortions or noises or both. Okay, so that's all I wanted to show you on this video. On the next video, we're gonna keep talking about noises and the different types of tools we can use as far as terrains. So masking is a big one. We're gonna look at how we can mask inside of terrains as well. So we'll see you then.